Are you tired of seeing the same old summer knit in every thumbnail? Annoyed with the virtual lack of progress in every single episode? Are you feeling anger at the mention of the word summer? Near insanity each time I say the word edge and bind off? Well, you're not alone. Like many people who hope to finish a summer knit within the 3 months of summer, you may have what is called cursed summer knit syndrome. Cursed summer knit syndrome is marked by feelings of joy with a new cast on that quickly plummet to rage when you're trying to fix the edging of the same project in mid-August. You may have feelings of dissatisfaction in things you used to enjoy. Irritability with those closest to you.
What's up?
Self-sabotaging behaviors like ripping back linen in the dark while watching an intense subtitled movie. Avoiding your knitting project to take the Myers-Briggs test over and over, looking for the worst possible results. Don't worry, there's help. Enter rando sock pattern and cheapo yarn for a sock palette cleanser. The more spontaneous, the better. Add random purl bumps here and there. Call it my first design. It's a design. Offer it free for a limited time. Throw in a scrap yarn heel. What the heck? Why not turn that heel this time? Within a couple of days, your cursed summer knit syndrome should be in remission. We thought using a sock to be a palette cleanser was something only freaks did on the internet. But it works. Side effects of knitting a sock palette cleanser are a sense of euphoria and the casting on of multiple whips or loss of sleep as you stay up late to just freaking finish something. Alcohol may increase these risks. Knitting the sock while promising to finish a summer tea for your YouTube channel may lead to bored viewers and loss of subscribers. Multiple whips can cause confusion about where you were last in your summer sweater pattern and aggression at said pattern. Sock palette cleansers often create multiple unfinished objects. Do not knit a sock palette cleanser while driving. If you find you're having the urge to buy more sock yarn than you need, or to light your summer tea on fire, call your doctor. For more information on slow progress and palette cleansers, go to mysocalledhandmadelife.com and say goodbye to cursed summer knitting for good. Oh yeah, there's some definite cursed summer knits happening here. I look at my list that I made after my last episode of kind of stuff I wanted to cover, and like most of them are nope. Progress on Calad? Nope. Finished socks? Nope. Giveaway? Gonna do that. Finished my fernwood and sewn on the buttons, and nope. And found the perfect fix for my raw tea, nope, again. I'm very disappointed, but just keep in mind, I am sure after trying like 8 different bottom edgings for this sweater, it is not Lone's fault, the designer. I am sure it is all me, because that's kind of what I do. Since I haven't made my crochet dreams come true yet this summer, I thought I would focus on Tanya's and some of yours. So my crochet plans are dead in the water at the moment. I considered starting Tony Lipsy's Tobago bag and just having it started. I didn't feel like I had the headspace for this splitty. Yeah, it's become splitty as I rip back the edging and constantly try redoing it. I didn't feel like I had headspace for a crochet project on top of this. So I thought of doing her bag, but I didn't, because I was like, I've got to have this finished to show in my next episode. Clearly I didn't. I'm human. Adina hasn't crocheted for many years and did only some like 15 years ago and then as a child, and has recently picked it back up and did she said the Ariane sweater. Is that a typo? Is it Arians, Adina? because I looked that up on Ravelry and I couldn't find such a sweater, but I did see Ariane with an E at the end, a really cute like single button crochet cardigan, and I'm wondering if that's what you did. It looks really technical, but you thought it would be, and it was a nice challenge. Then she went to a project or a bag, a crocheted bag, and found that to be much more challenging. And yet it's finished and she is so proud of it. And that's why I love crochet for me, because when you are pretty confident in one craft and you go to another, there's all this freedom to make mistakes and just say, well, I'll just fudge it, or just to feel that joy of, I finally got it, you know, the light bulb and the aha moment. One thing I did get this week, I showed you some of Tanya Skolosov's crochet jacket patterns. I got them in a bundle, and that bundle still may be available. Bundles typically are a little more like affordable to get 4 patterns at once from a designer than single. Not sure if that's still available. I did not check up, but her handle online, I believe, is TS Design Crochet, or TS Crochet Design. I will write down the right one because I showed you 2 different people who had similar names last week. But I went ahead, this one wasn't in my bundle. It's the Geometric Kaleidoscope Jacket. I saw that she has the pattern for sale on her website or Ravelry, and I almost got that. Then I thought, wait, no, she has a printed form on Amazon. So it's sort of like your own way of self-publishing. And they're printed as they're ordered, which might make it a little easier than working with a printer. There may be some objections people have with doing printing that way and using Amazon, but I was intrigued at how she was using Amazon to self-publish patterns one at a time. And I don't want to give things away about it. Oh, look, cocktail napkins. That doesn't come with the book, but she has a little biographical information, lots of photos of the pattern and the progress, many of which are probably in the e-pattern version. There are QR codes that you can scan and find links to the video just for people who've purchased the pattern, videos on tutorials, which I think is incredibly smart. And lots of diagrams, really helpful. Just flashing this. I don't really want to give away a lot. Really helpful images. Plenty of finished images. And along with that little bit of biographical information about her, she has something that I personally think, if I were to publish something, the kind of thing I've thought of publishing, which wasn't knitwear design, I would want a journal aspect to it. And she does. She has a little journal, a place for journaling about your crochet journey or your experience while making this project, which I think is a really smart way to make this more of a keepsake, something someone will want to keep on their shelf rather than say, I've looked at it and toss it. It's a substantial little book. It makes me think of the joy I have when it gets to be winter time and I pull out my Goodnight Day small booklets, and then the older ones that were even smaller and didn't have this kind of binding. And I pull them out, and of course there are multiple patterns in each of those, but I just enjoy casting on something, usually with bulky or super bulky yarn. There's just a joy to seeing them up on my bookshelf. I like the tactile feel of a real book. I do read e-patterns, and it is an affordable way to collect patterns. So it's not like I shun them, and I'm not saying I'm going to get every single one of her patterns, but I just wanted to try it out and see, what it was like. And I just think this is a really smart way to do something. Now, it's TS Crochet Design, by the way. I was just interested in how she's working it. So the one I find to be my holy grail, and she has a book for it also, is this Rose Garden. jacket. I think when the day comes where I have this, I will be, I don't know, it will be like what Adina is feeling, but a million times on crack. So I just wanted to share this with you. And I'm wondering if more designers are doing this. If you have qualms about Amazon, which I know everyone has some level of qualms about Amazon, like we're somewhere on the spectrum. No one feels virtually great about it, especially if they work for them. But if, you know, I don't know, tell me your thoughts. What are your thoughts about self-publishing this way, using Amazon, and a little booklet per pattern? I'd like to hear what you guys think about her format, because I found it intriguing. And as you can see, just for the sake of figuring out what it's like, what she has to offer in a printed booklet, I bought this for that reason. I could have waited on this pattern because there's things in the bundle that I want to make first, but I was just curious. You know what they say about curiosity. I was feeling a little blue. Not really, nothing serious, but just kind of pensive. That's the word. I was feeling very pensive in the last week. My son came to visit right before school was about to start again with his girlfriend, and they had been visiting her family, and it was so nice to see them. It was so much fun. And then when they left, it really hit me. We have like a Christmas holiday, and then he is never probably going to be living with us ever again. That's both of my children, grown and gone. I wasn't sad, but just thoughtful. Have I really made the most of all my time? And that is just the way I am. I wasn't feeling blue, but I wasn't feeling up. And then I got something in the mail I wanted to share with you because I just thought it was such a sweet and perfect. Well, it looks like I lost part of it. A sweet and perfect gift. Maybe I lost it on the way up the stairs, so I'll just show you the parts I have. Katinka, who is the seamstress at the cottage, sent me a little package. Now, Katinka is traveling. I feel like she said in her video like a couple of months ago, a few months ago, several, that she was going to be moving, and maybe permanently, from her home in South Africa. I'm not sure. They have had energy problems getting electricity to homes, and it was impossible to work and support herself. So I'm thinking she's looking for eventually settling somewhere else, or maybe a different area than where she was. But in the meantime, she has been traveling, visiting friends in the UK, then she'll be coming to the States, and then I don't know where she's going to end up. But you can follow her on Instagram, which I'll flash what her Instagram is, and the seamstress at the cottage. I think that she also still has her other YouTube channel, but I don't know if she's posting there, Katinka Ponders. So she sent me this package, and it was so sweet, and I just felt like it was so personal because I've been seeing on her Instagram and or her YouTube channel where she was making some things to bring to a maker's market with her sister. And one of the things was aprons. They were really beautiful. And I recognized this fabric as some of the fabric used for those aprons. So it just felt really neat to say, oh, I know where that came from. Not only that, but literally the day before, I was really tempted to purchase another project bag. And, you know, I've done so well with not purchasing knee-jerk, purchasing yarn. Not doing so great with patterns, clearly, but I was like, I don't have to have that project bag. No, I'm gonna save. I'm gonna exercise that self-control because, you know, you feel more empowered and it boosts your confidence, right? And then I got this the next day and I was like, oh, I got a really personal, sweet project bag, handmade, from a friend with a long loop for holding on my wrist and walking, and or, you know, like holding it while you knit from the bag or just carrying the bag. Anyway, I was just thrilled with this, the quality of it. The size of it was perfect for a little palette cleansing sock, right? And then along with it, she had a sachet, which I think I dropped on my way up here, and hopefully my cat has not found it. sewn in the same fabric as this little Notions pouch, which is so cute. Isn't this adorable for stitch markers? All of them have little handmade tags. I'll hold it up. And if you follow Katinka on either Instagram or YouTube, you'll recognize this fabric. This is from her just fabulous birthday dress that she made herself while traveling. I instantly recognized it and it felt so personal. But then she kind of upped it by later telling me the sachet is filled with lavender from her sister's garden. So I don't know. It's like getting in touch with the family a little. There was some tea that is super yummy and almost gone. And then some hand spun yarn. This is yarn from a merino fleece that she spun herself, then dyed with blue gum leaves, which I don't even know what a blue gum plant is, but I love the look of this. I'm so excited, and it has a really rustic look to it. I am thinking a hat, maybe my first winter hat. I'm so excited to use it. So now I need help with project ideas. If you guys have any ideas, I'm going to hold this up really close. Get a good look. If you have some good hat ideas, please let me know. I'm thinking, I'm not really good at this because I'm not really good at guessing gauge on yarn, but I am going to say sport. I'm going to say sport or DK, and that this will bloom some. Let me know some pattern ideas for a really great hat that I can use for winter. I think I have some ideas. And for this texture, this is not like, you know, factory made yarn. So excited. And I don't know, it was just a sweet little surprise that really kind of lifted me up. I asked in the last episode if you had taken the Myers-Briggs, I'm probably saying that wrong, Myers-Briggs, yeah, it's Myers, right? Okay, the Myers-Briggs personality test, and did the results seem accurate? Did they change anything for you? Gleanne is also an INFJ, that's what I am. Introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judgment, or an advocate. She felt it was very accurate when reading the breakdown of what it is. She also said she was here for the UFO content. And at first I thought she meant unfinished objects because I've been boring you guys with the same yellow sweater for months. But no, she meant actual like UFOs, UAPs or whatever, because I mentioned the UFO hearings. So I thought that was really funny. I didn't even get it at first what you meant, Gleanne. But yeah, I'm into that too. So Becky is another INFP. So she's introverted, intuitive, feeling, and prospecting, which is a mediator type personality according to the test. And from what I can read, prospecting is more like you don't have everything kind of planned. There's not a framework. You take things more as they go. You're open to a wide array of choices and maybe last minute decisions. I was just thinking how as a crafter, that could lead to a lot of whips, maybe. A lot of things on the needles, or a paralysis when you have something like the never-ending edge fix and you get like a million ideas. Because there are a jillion ways to try and fix this, and yes, I have tried every single one. You could have like a paralysis, like what should I do now? What should I do next? I don't know. Maybe impulsively switching from project to project and it's hard to get them finished. I don't know if that's true. But she also, like me, had read that, oh, this is a very rare personality type. And it sounds kind of fortune teller-like. But she's noticed that a lot of people she knows has this personality type, so how rare really can it be? There you go. Gleanne, though, mentioned maybe it's because they're drawn to each other and we make friends with one another who have similar personality types. And you know what? That's probably true too. Pam is also an INFJ, which is the advocate like I am. And like Gleanne. She's taken the test over different periods of her life, and the results have held firm through all those times. But she doesn't put like all of her eggs in the Myers-Briggs testing basket. She has found it helpful, you know. It was useful for understanding herself better, but you know, that's about it. Christy is an ISTJ, so that's introverted, intuitive, observant judgment. Logistician is what they called it on the site I was on, which might make sense if you're into design and numbers and, you know, building things that way. She has found it unusually correct about herself, definitely, but it's not her touchstone for life. Virginia, also INFP, which is another mediator like Becky. She feels like her feeling rank is very close to thinking, though. That's often the variable. Are you more of a feeler or a thinker? She's taken this test along with one of her siblings, and they found it interesting, and she could see how it would be helpful to use for your personal life, personal settings, but does not appreciate when businesses try and bring it into the workplace, mainly because you might just get passed over for some sort of job or promotion or project because people say, nah, you're this type of person. We need a this. Or you might get overloaded with things because you are considered, you know, a whatever's most valuable in the workplace, that workplace. I told her how my husband's job where he used to work, they did a color-coded personality test. It was like 4 personalities. And you actually wore your color with details about it on your work lanyard, like all day. They did that for a while, but you know, it was a corporate-owned business. And once it went corporate, they were always instituting a new plan, you know, and it would go for like 6 months. Nobody followed in the company. It went nowhere. And then next thing you know, everybody's driving to Houston to get another new plan. Anyway, it was one of those deals. I asked him, did anyone use this personality testing to kind of have better interpersonal relations at work? And he just laughed. It wasn't that type of place. But he came home from that test with his score. I don't remember what he was. Maybe he was green. And he just knew I was a yellow, I think. And I don't remember what all it was, but whatever he said I was, he thought he had me pegged. I don't think he did. But I think that revealed more about his personality than it did mine. It seemed like a very faulty testing method. So Rosamond is an ENTJ. She's the only extrovert. She's extroverted, intuitive, thinking, and judgment. And that is called the commander personality type. And she said she had a hard time at work where the business really based your workload and your jobs on the Myers-Briggs personality testing. And she was given more responsibility and tasks than she really wanted at the time or was good for her. It's like there was no room for nuance. It really led to burnout. And that is one of those cautions about using it in the workplace and relying heavily on it. She has seen it though, like a lot of her family members have done the testing, and she has watched the personality differences really come to life in like her parents and how they work around their differences to accept how each of them views the world and lives differently, and don't make assumptions that a person said this or did this because of the reasons you would say it or do it, which might be hurtful or harmful. They're just doing it for a completely different reason because that's how they're kind of made. She's also watched that happen in her marriage. And it made me think about my own marriage. Like, what are some things about my personality that have been enhanced by my husband? And, you know, we've definitely had clashing, right, in our personality types, but he's never done this test. But I've thought about how I tend to overthink, because I don't want to do the wrong thing. Like, there are some decisions I'm like, man, I'll do it. Like, if no one's going to get hurt, it's not going to interfere with anyone else, I'm fine with spontaneity like that when it's all personal. But like making a decision to make a purchase or to do a thing with my life, I'm very much, wait, is this the right thing to do as a mom? Should I do this? Will this take time from my family? What about my grandparents? You know, all through life, I've been really slow to do things I wanted because I felt like I got to consider everyone else. And that's a good thing, right? As long as it doesn't like become sick, it's a good thing. He's always been, do it about everything. And I mean, yeah, that can be a problem too. But between the two of us, I do think he's pushed me to do some things that might have been more costly or might have been an iffy time in my life. He's like always the yes person. And sometimes you just want to go to the yes person because you really want a yes. He is that for me, for sure. It was kind of neat to think about it. I've been reading a book, The Meaning of Marriage. I like pick it up here and there the last year. They were talking about like, you know, marriage is like this laboratory for growing your personality, growing yourself, expanding yourself as a person. And I was just trying to think of ways that had happened for me. Anyway, if I were to use this testing as if it were, well, I already have. I'll put it that way. I don't sit and think, I bet that person is I don't think about it that way. But when I first did the test and saw the results, I found it helpful then. And that's probably all I'll use it for. I found it helpful because there are parts of my personality that I would suppress because they simply weren't appreciated very often by people around me. And I think I talked in the comments some about this, like I am a very feeling person. Well, in general, I would say if you're a feeling person, you know this, there are a lot of people who do look down on emotion as a weakness. I think a huge part of the population doesn't even know what an emotion is. They don't even realize that they have them. They see emotion as sentimentality, wishy-washy, mushy, silly, maybe even too feminine. And they don't realize they've got emotion just oozing out of them. They see what they're feeling and the way they're acting as a fact based on what is happening. They don't even see that it's a choice. It's an emotion. So, for instance, like you're driving with someone and they get road rage and you're like, why are you so angry at that driver? I'm not angry. They're just stupid. Okay, they're stupid. But why are you so angry? I'm not angry. You know, and they're screaming at you. Clearly they're angry, but they don't even see it as an emotion. It's just the way it is. I just think a huge part of our population is that way. So a lot of people who say, I'm just not an emotional person, they totally are. They just don't allow certain emotions to happen or they don't acknowledge them. Most of us, especially all the stuff we've been talking about like stash busting and hoarding and collecting and social media, we clearly have some envy going on. A little covetous type emotion, like I want to be what I see. I need to be what I see. And there's a lot. Oh, and then I'm sure we've seen a lot of anger and outrage. Outrage is what gets clicks. That would not be working if we were not emotional people. So I just found it reaffirming to hear some of the good points of being a feeling person. That feeling and intuition combined, right? I have to combine like good sense with my emotions, but my emotions always, never fail to tip me off that something is happening in me or around me that's not right. Always, you know, plus, you know, there's positive emotions, but I'm just saying I don't let them control me, hopefully. And they've been helpful to me. So how this test helped me was that when I read my results, other than being like, ooh, that's oddly accurate, I was like, you know what, that was a little affirming of me as a person and my personality style. And that was it. That's basically how I would use it. That one thing. it was a nice encouragement, because lately in the last few years, I've really been thinking, I'm embracing the whole Marianne Williamson thing, that love is really what we need in our society. And it sounds all hippy dippy, but it is. And I don't just mean a weird, distorted portion of what love is. I mean the full picture of love. I totally think so many problems in the world would be fixed in my life, around me, my community, everywhere. And the older I get, the more I'm having this, you know, flaky sounding, love is the answer. And I don't know, it was a little encouragement that no, you're not just getting more sentimental as you age, you're getting a little wiser. Speaking of testing and how it can be used or misused, Virginia recommended a book called Bellwether by Connie Willis, and she said it made her laugh out loud. So I thought I would also recommend it to you here. And a kind of aside, I've been reading this book about the ruthless elimination of hurry. Well, the next read I have is this one that Virginia also recommended ages ago in the comments, 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman. And I thought I would share that again with you here. I put it on my list when she recommended it immediately, but then I've been slow to get around to reading it. I did like a streamlining of my attention span basically a few years ago, and I'm doing it again clearly. So I just wanted to mention it. And as an aside to the aside, have you seen Virginia's newest pattern, On Point Mittens and Cap, or On Point Hat? They're so cute. Both of them, I think together, 2 skeins of Cascade 220 maybe would work to make both of them. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but they don't take that much yardage is what I'm saying to make these, and I would think they would be such a great Christmas gift, a great first winter accessory project. I like that. I don't know what the shape of that hat is. I'm going to show it here, but it's not pillbox, but it is just an old-fashioned cap, like a cylinder, and the edging on the mittens and the cap have this braided look, so it's like a traditional Scandinavian looking ferrule or stranded print, stranded pattern, colorwork pattern, but then you've got that little braided edge. It's so sweet. I really want to make it, but I won't be making it soon because I finally got yarn together. I went digging in my stash for yarn for Virginia's Davern Tam. I keep wanting to say Damson, but because Tam. Her Davern Tam and mittens. I wanted to get the Woolly Thistles kit for it. It's a little like out of my price range at the time because I'm like trying not to spend a lot on yarn, right? You know? So, and they were sold out anyway. So they do have it back in stock. I think they still do right now. And it's like really interesting, cool European yarn that I've never used and that I would like to use. But I went ahead and used a sale at Knit Picks or We Crochet. It might have been We Crochet. To get some some palette to make this. It's a fingering weight pattern. And I just was like, you know what? I just gotta do it. I want this for the this winter. I want to make it this winter. It's been on my list for a while. So I have these as my coordinating colors, and I'll be showing you the pattern so that you'll see. But we have Bouquet Heather, which I really like, cream, Tea Rose, an old classic from Knit Picks, and Marble Heather, and Spearmint. My favorite colors in this being Bouquet, Tea Rose, and Spearmint together, but as my main color that unifies it all, I am using Stellar Heather, which is a reddish plum-like brown, and I really love this color. I hope that you can see up close. And then how well these all go together. It's just a really, I think it's very unifying. So it's similar to the colors that Virginia chose. And I think her color sense is almost as much a draw to me to the pattern as the pattern itself. But it looks so sweet and vintage. It makes me think of Little Women, like a scene from Little Women or something. Not the movies, just the book, a scene in my head. Anyway, so I'm really excited about doing all of these chunk together for a really great colorwork design. I'm just really looking forward to making winter stuff again. And I guess that's a good time to talk about the never-ending summer knit, which I kind of shared that it's driving me crazy. It feels a little cursed. I have tried, I don't know, maybe 8 different fixes, and I appreciate both Julie and, both Andrea and Eunice talked about using a extra, like a slightly larger needle to do the I-cord bind off. I did try that on a sleeve. It rolled as much as regular I-cord. I tried the patterns technique of pulling tight while doing the I-cord, rolled, and several people in their comments said that made no difference. Don't pull too tight. One I didn't try, and I'm not going to, Effie, and it's simply because I'm so sick of this knit, but Effie said, do it inside out. Do a Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off from the inside. And it will give a look of I-cord, and also it'll roll, but not too bad. I actually think it's going to roll bad. I think everything is going to roll bad, and it might be, it's because it's Lindy chain and not, maybe not wool. I'm not sure. Eunice had an idea, and she sent me a video that I am sharing the link to. If you have any interest in ever having a non-rolling edge, I really think that video is worth bookmarking. Just go to it, bookmark it for another day, Pinterest it under skills for another day. I have tried it, and it's meh. For this, it is better than the I-cord edging. I did it right here. She saw it in someone's Instagram stories or reels, and I went there, and it was initially for a cast on edge, and it seemed to work well on a small square. And the designer said, you can totally reverse this and do it for a cast off edge. And I tried what she said, and it's interesting. It's kind of like, it makes me think a bit of binding off and doing sort of a folded edge, but not quite. I believe I did 2 purl rounds, and then I tried Eunice's fix. And this is what I've got. Still super rolly. I'll put it on just for the sake of shame. And I went ahead and did the sleeves, and I said, screw it. And I'm almost done with the neck. And I thought maybe I should finish this for everyone to have a finished object, but you don't come here for finished objects, right? You see my never nude shorts. Okay, see? Oh my gosh, I don't think it's rolling as bad. What do you think? I actually think it's not rolling as bad. And you know what I can always do? Like, I'm just gonna French tuck this baby, and there you go. So it's sort of like the SNL Gap Girl sketch, just cinch it.
Just belt them. Yeah, you just get a belt and you cinch them.
I'm just gonna French tuck it and be done with it. Oh my gosh, so next episode, will be the end of this tee. And like I said, it's a great pattern. I think that the designer has so many great sweater patterns. I feel like all are incredibly wearable by lots of different people. There's nothing too trendy or faddish about them, but there's always some interesting detail. That's Lone Jeltsin, unless I'm saying it wrong. And anyway, you can see I'm on it's got those little neat seams all around. I am on the little bit of this neckband. So, but thank you to everyone who gave me possible fixes for that, because it's been so maddening. Okay, so a sock palette cleanser, right? As the cure to the cursed summer knit. Here's what I'd like to do. I mentioned possibly us doing like a knit along of Christy Archer's Simply Irresistible sock patterns. Any of the patterns, any of her Simply Irresistible sock patterns. And I explained to you why I love them. They don't require a heel turn. There's ribbing at the heel, and they could fit more of a variety of a foot. I'm not sure about that. But she's got them in like slipper socks or regular fingering weight socks, and lots of different designs. And I thought that would be fun if some of you want to do it with me. Christy said she would like to do it with her viewers on her podcast, which she has more viewers on her podcast. So that might actually be fun. And if you want to see like on Instagram a hashtag and more people doing it along with you, that will probably happen. So I meant to do this last week. I meant to do a giveaway to anyone who comments. I will give 3 of her Simply Irresistible sock patterns, gift them to you. Comment in the comments and tell me the knitting project or crochet project you would most like to set on fire that you've made, and leave your Ravelry name, or if you can't do Ravelry, your email address, and just write out at whatever and writeout.com, and I'll know what to do. That way spam won't get you. But if you'll do that, I will pick randomly a winner for any 3 of her Simply Irresistible sock patterns. I think she's got like 5 or maybe more. We'll wait and I'll tell you more in the next episode. I'll tell you exactly when that will be starting, but I'm thinking probably September is when we'll do it. But whoever wins this, will definitely have one of her Simply Irresistible patterns. I feel like her patterns are fairly priced, and I'm so excited to start it, and I will have my socks finished by then. You can see I just used my little bit of Regia Perfect leftover, and I just did it for the heel. I'm using the self-striping of this Patton's Croix for the cuff and toe. I just used one whole little color striping as the cuff and then went into the others. And I went ahead and mirrored this one as much as possible to the other. And then once you get to your afterthought heel, which I have here, it's just, straight knitting till the toe. And I really do like doing the second afterthought heel because I already know on what stripe I start my toe decreases, so I can just go ahead and finish the entire sock. I don't have to wait and do the heel just to try it on and make sure. I don't know if you've ever done it. Like, your measurement from afterthought heel to toe, and you have it all down, and you go ahead and finish the sock, and once you put the heel in, you put it on, and it's just a tad too short for some reason. That is crazy making. So I always try it on when I do an after sock heel. I do the heel before finishing the toe, unless I'm using identical self-striping yarn and I have the same number of rows. So I know I'm good. I did ask you guys if you've been feeling some pressure recently, or rush and hurry. I've been reading this book, which I said was not a Christian book per se. I read a few pages further after saying that. It is. It is. I mean, it's nothing that should turn off a person who doesn't believe in Christ, because most people feel like the actual life of Christ is nothing wrong to model, your need for solitude and quiet. I don't think many people would have a problem with using the life of Christ as a model for that, but that is his model for talking about our needs for quiet and stuff. However, if you just were thinking about the science of a person's need for less noise in their life, you would find you agreed with all of these principles too. He has a lot of extra quotes and facts that I think most people would appreciate. But anyway, I listened to you guys about your feelings of pressure, those of you who did respond. It's not been anything serious, but I have been feeling a kind of, I'm not in a rush to do anything, but I still feel a sort of pressure. And I think it's sort of a systemic thing in my society, you know, and I just want to be healthy. So that's why I'm kind of rethinking how I use my time and focus. And I noticed I was having trouble reading a real book and getting very far through it without being distracted. And that's what tipped me off in the beginning. Then I stumbled upon hurry sickness, and there's lots of videos on this, but it was a term coined in like the 50s. And you look back and you think, how could people have been so hurried then? But I'm just going to read some points that various things I've been reading and watching have talked about signs of hurry sickness. Perfectionism, always feeling like you're rushing against the clock, even when you're not. Restlessness, feeling like you have to always be busy, even if it's just time wasters like TikTok. You can't let things go undone without stress. I mean, you do let things go undone. You may procrastinate, but it stresses you out. You have trouble changing your routine or your plans, and an unrealistic set of to-dos that you will never finish. You multitask to a point of forgetting what you're working on. Unrealistic fear of the consequences. I've got to get it done. And even if you don't think them out, there's like this sense of dread, like something terrible will happen. This all just sounds like anxiety, by the way. You always have these consequences that you feel are there if you're not getting something, doing something, being something more. This nebulous fear. You don't make time to relax. And if you do have unstructured relaxation time, you can't actually relax. You have things that should be a higher priority that are falling on the list, like relationships, taking care of your health. You start to like lose a capacity to feel for others, possibly. And one of the feelings you might still have is like fear of missing out. Gosh, I'm just seeing so many things in there, like control, misuse of time, avoidance, competitiveness, you know, like being online a lot makes you see what you ought to be. So, I don't know. If you ask the people who live with you, they could probably tell you best if you are exhibiting any of these. But I'm not doing anything, it's not anything crazy in my life, but I was feeling like, I told you, these migraines might come back. What should I get done before the migraine era begins again? Because I heard Nurtec quits working after a year or so. I don't know if that's true. I'm thinking that our ordinary weaknesses, like those personality types, could really be exaggerated when we're in this state, and I don't want to be in this state. And he mentions in this book, this is why I'm bringing it up today, that we can be all of our personality foibles, like sensitivity, say me, I'm very sensitive. Well, I could be overly sensitive. I have good judgment. I could be judgmental. These kind of things, because of hurry, is like a violence to your own soul. That's the quote he has in here. And I really thought about that. Violent to my soul? What about children? If I had children in the home with me and I was caught up in that, or my spouse, do I want to drag them through the violence I'm doing to my soul, or even teach it? So that's where some of that hippy-dippy love I was talking about comes in. Love and empathy take time to practice and cultivate, but I can see how so many of the things I just read could be fixed with having a very proper, healthy sense of love for yourself and for the people around you, and you can relax and let go of some stuff. So Jen had said, life is more fast-paced than it used to be. Now, this is a season that's busy for her business, and I'm wondering, Jen, if some of that busyness, because your kids are getting older, I'm thinking a lot of it has to do with technology and how it's changed the way we do business. That's just a general society anxiety, right? I'm wondering if that's what you're talking about, or if you're kind of getting caught up in some of these things that are making us feel rushed, pressured, and we should be more. Pam says she feels a low-level internal pressure all the time, but she uses it she makes use of it to push her to do things so she doesn't waste her time. She doesn't know how much longer do we have. I want to make the most of life, and it brings her joy, which I found really interesting to hear someone say. I really wasn't expecting anyone to say that low-level pressure works for them. But like the low level pressure I've been feeling was like a nagging feeling that I'm underproducing or that I'm avoiding something difficult. Ugh, I really don't want to have to work through more difficult inner stuff, but it's probably still there. I could tell by the way I was feeling that something needed to come out, and I'm going to talk more about that. And it's not the main thing, right? The main thing in the next episode is I'm going to have a finished knit and back to the knitting and all that, but I am going to talk about how I've implemented some things from this. I've already been doing it for 2 weeks, and I'm kind of keeping a little log of changes I see in myself or realizations it brings me. I'm not going to get super personal, but I've already seen some big things change by trying to slow down my life more. Christy no longer feels that crazy busy pressure of when children are younger because her kids are getting older, and she is loving the slower season in life, loving every minute of it. It was nice to hear both what Christy and Pam had to say, that there's like a light at the end of the tunnel. It's possible to feel joyous at whatever season you're at. I'm really happy that they both feel that way. But I wanted to finish with what Rosamond said. You know, she was mostly commenting on that stuff about the Myers-Briggs test, but she's mentioned things in the past in the comments, and what she said then really stood out to me. She was talking about her burnout from her job, having too much responsibility put on her. Maybe at first, because she's a very productive type person, she welcomed it, but then a lot was put and dumped on her, and she did burn out to a point that it caught up with her, and she had physical health problems that required she major change her lifestyle. If you follow Rosamond Knits on Instagram, you probably already know her. And she has a podcast out now, so I'll tell you more in a second. But she got burnout at work. Her productive personality was taking on more than she should. It was thrown on her, and it caught up with her. She kind of just physically had like a collapse. She had to alter her life drastically and quit working. And rather than being bitter at the limitations that it produced, you know her. If you know her, you know she's like this. When talking about these new physical limitations, she is grateful that she was forced to slow down, even with the difficulty it's caused. Here's what she said. Rather than feeling like my life is running away from me, I feel like my mind and soul have expanded so much more than if I had been running around working long hours and trying to squeeze mothering in. That was so convicting to me, because feeling like life is passing me by is a big one for me. And here you are making the most of it. You're not letting it pass you by, and you're letting limitations guide you to it. I also have, we all do, wounds and scars from the past that might make how we process and deal with certain situations slower. So those limitations of my own emotional past, age, finances, mental limits like a not so sharp memory, personality type limits, being introverted, say, rather than figure out how I should overcome these things to have something more or enjoy life more or squeeze more out of it, how can I let these limitations help me slow down and find my purpose? And I feel like Rosamond has done that or is doing it. And so I wanted to mention it. Go see her first episode, Rosamond Knits Out. I haven't even watched it. I saw that she has it, and I was like, if I get to watching that, I am going to not make my own episode. So I'm making this first, and then I'm going to go watch it, but I'm really excited to see. And she's also like a prolific knitter. So you're going to get way more knitting content if you watch Rosamond. Here's my question for you. Leave me a message in the comments. Which one of your knits would you most like to set on fire? Are you decent? Sit right here. Be my husband. I mean, oh my gosh. You okay? Cursed summer knits.
Side effects of knitting a sock palette cleanser are a sense of euphoria and the casting on of multiple whips or loss of sleep as you stay up late to just freaking finish something. Alcohol may increase these risks. Knitting the sock while promising to finish a summer tea for your YouTube channel may lead to bored viewers and loss of subscribers. Multiple whips can cause confusion about where you were last in your summer sweater pattern and aggression at said pattern. Sock palette cleansers often create multiple unfinished objects. Do not knit a sock palette cleanser while driving. If you find you're having the urge to buy more sock yarn than you need, or to light your summer tea on fire, call your doctor. For more information on slow progress and palette cleansers, go to mysocalledhandmadelife.com and say goodbye to cursed summer knitting for good.